My brother ridiculed my career and worth, then demanded I bankroll his lavish bash, so I shut him down, but what I uncovered next tore his flawless facade to shreds. My world didn't just crack, it exploded in a hail of betrayal and lies the night my brother Liam mocked me in front of Seattle's elite, his smug grin daring me to keep playing his game. I'm Ethan Caldwell, 35, a cybersecurity engineer who spent years shielding Fortune 500 companies from digital Armageddon, while my family treated me like an ATM with a pulse. That night, at my niece Ava's 10th birthday gala, I stood in a wrinkled hoodie, fresh from a 16-hour war against a corporate data breach, only to have Liam, the golden child, demand I foot a $20,000 0-cents bill for his champagne-soaked circus. His parting shot, "Ethan's got no life to spend on anyway," was the spark that lit the fuse. What I uncovered next didn't just unravel his perfect facade. It threatened to drag me into a dangerous web of fraud, hackers, and family secrets I never saw coming. Seattle's skyline glittered through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the Grand Meridian Hotel, a venue so upscale it screamed money louder than a Wall Street trading floor. Chandeliers dripped with crystal, casting fractured light across tables draped in silk, each centerpiece a cascade of orchids that probably cost more than my monthly rent. A live jazz band crooned in the corner, their notes weaving through the clink of champagne flutes and the laughter of the city's tech elite. I stood at the edge of it all, my hoodie still damp with the sweat of a server room marathon, my eyes gritty from staring at code for 16 hours straight. I just stopped a data breach that could have cost my firm's client, a biotech giant's $200 million, 0 cents, in stolen intellectual property. My hands still trembled from the adrenaline, my laptop bag slung over one shoulder like a soldier's rifle. I didn't belong here, not among these polished suits and manicured smiles. But I'd promised Ava I'd show up. For her, I'd walk through fire. For Liam, I was done. Liam spotted me the second I stepped into the ballroom, his Armani suit catching the light as he sauntered over, his trademark smirk sharp enough to cut glass. "Couldn't clean up for Ava's big day, nerd," he said loud enough for his nearby buddies to chuckle. Their Rolexes glinted as they sipped $300 0 cents bottled whiskey, their eyes scanning me like I was a glitch in their perfect algorithm. I ignored him, scanning the room for Ava, my niece, the only reason I dragged myself here after a day that felt like a cyber war. She was across the room, her dark curls bouncing as she laughed with friends, oblivious to the storm brewing between her father and me. I clutched the gift I'd brought, a custom drone I'd coded to do flips and play her favorite songs, hoping it'd make her smile. Liam's jab stung, but it was nothing new. He'd been sharpening that knife since we were kids. Growing up in our family's sprawling estate in Bellevue, Washington, Liam was the sun and I was the shadow. Our parents, tech moguls who'd built a software empire in the 90s, showered him with private tutors, Tesla Roadsters, and yacht trips, while I scraped by on hand-me-down laptops and summer coding camps I paid for by fixing neighbors' Wi-Fi. At 14, I taught myself Python, landing my first freelance gig securing a local startup's network. Liam, meanwhile, was networking with trust fund kids at exclusive parties, his charm a currency our parents bankrolled without question. When I won my first hackathon at 16, a grueling 48-hour code fest that earned me a scholarship offer, they were at Liam's charity gala, where he schmoozed influencers and drank overpriced cocktails. I still remember the sting of coming home with my trophy, only for Mom to glance at it and say, "That's nice, Ethan," before asking if I'd wired money for Liam's latest venture. That venture, like all of Liam's schemes, was a black hole. By 18, I was juggling night classes for my computer science degree and freelance gigs, debugging code until dawn while Liam flunked out of 3 Ivy League schools, Harvard, Yale, then Princeton, each one partially funded by my savings. "Family sticks together," Mom would say, her voice soft but laced with guilt that hit harder than any virus I'd ever fought. Her calls were a ritual. Small talk about the weather, then a sob story about Liam's struggles. A failed startup, a maxed-out credit card, a rent payment he just couldn't cover. Her favorite line? "You're the stable one, Ethan. Liam looks up to you." What kind of brother says no? I fell for it every time, wiring thousands to keep him afloat, sacrificing my own dreams of launching an AI security startup. Over a decade, I poured $150,000, 0 cents, into his disaster's money. For his Tesla, his downtown loft, his blockchain venture that was nothing but a flashy website with no back end. My parents never asked if I could afford it. They just assumed I'd pay, like it was my job to clean up Liam's messes. My actual job was a different kind of war. At 35, I'm a lead cybersecurity engineer at Nexus Tech, a Seattle firm that protects Fortune 500 companies from digital annihilation. It's 80-hour weeks tracing ransomware through encrypted networks, thwarting nation-state hackers, and recovering data from corporate espionage. I've stopped zero-day exploits in server rooms so hot my glasses fogged, my eyes burning from 48-hour coding marathons. Last month, a Russian hacking group targeted our biggest client, a defense contractor, with a $50 0 cents M ransomware attack. I blocked it, but not before they sent me death threats through an encrypted channel, their broken English promising to end me if I didn't back off. 2 weeks ago, during a client site visit in Portland, I found a GPS tracker wired into my car's undercarriage, likely planted by a rival firm's hired goons. This job isn't just code, it's a battlefield, and I'm on the front lines. That night at the gala, the weight of it all pressed down. My job, my family, Liam's endless demands. I found Ava near the dessert table, her eyes lighting up when I handed her the drone. "Uncle Ethan, you made this," she asked, her voice full of awe. I nodded, ruffling her hair, feeling a rare moment of peace. Then Liam swooped in, his cologne sharp enough to choke a server. "Cash would have been cooler, bro," he said, loud enough for his friends to hear. They laughed, their eyes flicking to me like I was some charity case. Liam's tech bro posse, guys with soft hands and crypto portfolios, crowded around, their Rolexes catching the light. One asked what I did, and before I could answer, Liam cut in. "He's the IT guy. Fixes servers. No social life. Probably still single." The room seemed to tilt, their laughter a low hum that drowned out the jazz band. I have a degree from the University of Washington and 3 certifications in network security, but to Liam I was just the nerd who paid his bills. It got worse. As Liam held court, spinning tales of his latest crypto consulting gig, one of his buddies slipped a USB drive into my laptop bag. I didn't notice until later, but my guts screamed, danger, malware maybe, meant to sabotage my firm's servers. Liam's friends were the kind who'd sell their own kids for a Bitcoin spike, and I'd seen their type before. Smooth talkers who'd plant a virus to tank a rival's stock. I clenched my fist, forcing myself to stay calm, but Liam wasn't done. He slapped my shoulder, his grin all teeth, and announced to the room, "No worries about tonight, boys. Ethan's covering the $20,000 0 cents bill, right, bro?" He winked, adding, "He's got no life to spend on anyway." The words hit like a brute force attack, cracking something deep inside me. The room froze, his friends' awkward chuckles fading into the hum of the crowd. This wasn't just about money. It was about a lifetime of being his wallet, his punching bag, his shadow. I didn't scream. I didn't punch him. I just turned and walked out, my boots echoing on the marble floor, leaving Liam mid-sentence about his NFT empire. In my truck, the Seattle rain streaking the windshield, I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. With one tap, I canceled the Amex card Liam used for his nightclub tabs and Uber Eats binges. Another tap shut down the joint account Mom had convinced me to open for emergencies. I stopped the $500 0 cents monthly transfers for Ava's activities, which somehow always coincided with Liam's poker nights. My phone buzzed. Liam, already texting, demanding to know why his card was declined. I blocked his number, then his email, then every social media account he had. For the first time in years, I felt the weight lift, like I'd purged a virus from my own system. Driving home, the city lights blurred through the rain, and I tallied the damage. Last year alone, I'd wired $5,000 0 cents for Liam's emergency rent, $4,200 0 cents for his Tesla repairs, $3,000, 0 cents for a tech retreat that was just a Vegas bender. That $150,000, 0 cents over a decade could have been my startup, my future. Instead, it funded Liam's illusion of success. I thought of the rental property my buddy pitched me, a surefire investment I passed up when Liam called begging for $10,000, 0 cents to save his car from repo. I'd always caved, always played the stable brother, but not anymore. This ATM was closed. At my condo, I poured a whiskey and pulled up my accounts, methodically severing every financial tie to Liam. The joint account? Closed. The auto transfers? Canceled. The loan agreements he'd signed, worthless promises on paper, went straight to the shredder. My phone lit up with texts from Liam, then Mom, then numbers I didn't recognize, his friends probably begging on his behalf. I didn't read them. I turned off my phone and slept like a man who'd just cracked the toughest encryption of his life. The next morning, my coffee was still brewing when Mom called. I picked up, knowing she'd never stop. "What did you do, Ethan?" she demanded. No hello, just straight to defending Liam. "He's struggling, and you cut him off like he's nothing." I kept it short. "He's been struggling forever, Mom. I'm done funding it." Her voice cracked, the guilt trip in full swing. "He was joking at the gala. You're too sensitive. How could you do this to Ava?" That hit a nerve. Ava was the one person I'd never abandon. "Sophia can contact me directly for Ava's tuition," I said. "Nothing goes through Liam anymore." Mom gasped, like I'd betrayed the family code. "You're breaking my heart, Ethan. After everything we've done for you?" I laughed, bitter. "Everything? Like what, Mom? The lectures on earning my own way while Liam got a Tesla?" I hung up, my hands shaking, and headed to work. At Nexus Tech, I was neck-deep in a new ransomware strain, a beast that could lock our client's supply chain in 72 hours. My CEO had already warned me, fail this, and my job was on the line. The pressure was crushing, but Liam's drama kept bleeding in. He called from a burner phone while I was tracing malicious code, his voice pure venom. "You left me with a $20,000 0 cents bill, Ethan. I had to pawn my Tesla key to cover it." I leaned back in my chair, the server room humming around me. "Not my problem. Get a job." He sputtered. "You're jealous because I live while you slave away in a basement." I fired back. "I'm taking my first vacation in 3 years. Vegas. Enjoy your call center." I hung up, blocked the number, and dove back into the code. But Liam didn't stop. He showed up at my office that afternoon, banging on the glass doors, yelling about betrayal while my coworkers stared. My boss pulled me aside, his face tight. "Handle your personal crap, Ethan, or you're out." I nodded, jaw clenched, and blocked another 5 numbers Liam used to text me. That night, driving home, I noticed a black SUV tailing me, its tinted windows screaming trouble. My gut said it was tied to the Russian hackers I'd pissed off, or maybe Liam's shady crypto buddies. I took a detour through a crowded downtown street, losing them in the traffic. But my heart didn't stop pounding until I locked my condo door. The next day, Sophia, Liam's wife, called, her voice shaky. "Did you really cut Ava's tuition?" I explained I'd only redirected payments to her directly, bypassing Liam. There was a long pause, then a bitter laugh. "He told me you were done with her completely." That was the first crack in Liam's facade. Sophia revealed she'd caught him editing bank statements on his laptop the night of the gala, panicking about the bill. She'd dug deeper, uncovering a Ponzi scheme he'd been running, conning our cousins, uncles, and our parents into fake crypto investments. My $150,000 0 cents had been the seed money, funneled through his ventures to pay early returns while he pocketed the rest for Teslas and strip club tabs. Sophia didn't stop there. She'd hired a forensic accountant, and the folder she sent me was a financial crime scene. Fake PDFs, doctored accounts, and wire transfers to offshore shells. She'd filed for divorce, reported Liam to the FBI, and hired a lawyer who ate fraudsters for breakfast. Liam's world was imploding. His Tesla repossessed, his loft under eviction, his friends suing for $300,000 0 cents in vanished funds. But the real bomb was yet to come. One of Liam's investors, a crypto mogul with ties to organized crime, sent 2 goons to my condo at midnight, demanding I repay his $100,000 0 cents loss. I barricaded the door, my heart racing as they pounded, their threats muffled but clear. Pay up, or you're done. I called 911 and 11, my hands shaking as I clutched a kitchen knife, praying the cops would get there before they broke in. The police arrived just in time, but the danger wasn't over. The next morning, the FBI questioned me, suspecting I was Liam's accomplice because my name was on some of his accounts. My security clearance, my career's lifeline, hung by a thread. I spent hours proving I was a victim, not a co-conspirator, my stomach churning as I handed over bank records. Then Liam escalated. At 2 a.m. the following night, he showed up at my condo, disheveled, eyes wild, pounding on my door. "You ruined my life!" he screamed, lunging at me when I opened it. I dodged his punch, my CrossFit training outmatching his years of DoorDash and desk chairs. He stumbled, crashing into my neighbor's yard, still yelling threats. "You're dead, Ethan, you hear me?" My Ring camera caught every second, and when the cops arrived, they tased him mid-rant for assault and resisting arrest. Mom called at dawn, sobbing, "You're destroying our family." Dad got on, his voice cold. "Drop the charges, Ethan, for your mother's sake." I laughed, my voice steady. "Liam's got a record because he tried to kill me. I'm done with all of you." I hung up, filed a restraining order, and blocked their numbers. They showed up at my office the next day, Mom crying, Dad red-faced, until my boss threatened to call security. Back at my condo, they left a letter about family healing. I shredded it without reading. Sophia called again, updating me. Liam had violated her restraining order, showing up at her parents' house, and was now in county jail. Ava was safe, asking about her drone uncle. I started visiting her monthly, teaching her to code, building a bond no money could buy. I launched my AI security startup, hired 3 engineers, and watched my bank account grow for the first time. Liam's working a call center job now, living in a run-down studio, still spinning tales of being a visionary. Betrayed by family, I don't feel guilty. I didn't ruin his life. I just stopped building his house of cards. But questions linger. Are the Russian hackers tied to Liam's scheme? Did my parents know about his fraud? What else is Sophia uncovering? Will my startup survive the crypto mogul's wrath? And can Ava trust me through this storm? The answers are out there, and I'm ready to find them. On my terms. The Seattle rain battered my condo's windows like a relentless DDoS attack. Each drop a reminder that the storm wasn't just outside. It was in my life, my family, my very blood. I'd cut Liam off, slammed the door on his parasitic schemes, but the fallout was only beginning. My phone buzzed incessantly, a digital siege of 62 missed calls and 89 texts from Liam, Mom, and his crypto bro posse, all begging, guilt-tripping, or threatening me to reverse course. I was Ethan Caldwell, 35, a cybersecurity engineer who just walked away from a $20,000 0 cents gala bill. My brother assumed I'd cover, his mocking words, "Ethan's got no life to spend on anyway," still burning in my ears. But what I uncovered next wasn't just Liam's Ponzi scheme. It was a web of lies that tied him to Russian hackers, a crypto mogul with a vendetta, and secrets my parents might have buried deeper than I ever imagined. As I fought to protect my career, my niece Ava, and my sanity, every step pulled me closer to a truth that could either free me or destroy everything I'd built. I sat at my kitchen counter, a half-empty whiskey glass sweating beside my laptop, the glow of the screen casting shadows across my condo. The city hummed beyond the rain-streaked windows, oblivious to the war I was fighting. My firm, Nexus Tech, was under siege from a new ransomware strain, and our Fortune 500 client, a biotech giant, had given me until dawn to recover their hacked data or face a lawsuit that could tank my career. The pressure was a vice around my chest, but Liam's betrayal was a blade in my back. I'd canceled his emergency Amex card, shut down our joint account, and stopped the $500 0 cents monthly transfers for Ava's activities that somehow always ended up funding his poker nights. My phone lit up again. "Mom," her voice sharp through a voicemail. "Liam was just joking, Ethan. You're too sensitive. How could you abandon family? I deleted it, my jaw tight, and focused on the server patch that could save my jaw. But the world wouldn't let me focus. At 1 a.m., a black SUV tailed me home from the office, its headlights cutting through the fog like a predator's eyes. I'd seen that SUV before, after I blocked a $50 0-cent ransomware attack linked to a Russian hacking group. My guts screamed they were connected. Maybe to Liam's crypto scams, maybe to something worse. I floored my truck through a maze of downtown streets, losing them in the neon blur of Pike Place. But my pulse didn't slow until I double-checked my locks. Sleep was a distant dream. Every creak in my condo sounded like a threat. By morning, the chaos escalated. Liam called from a burner phone, his voice a mix of rage and desperation. "You left me with a $20,000 0-cent bill, Ethan. I had to pawn my Tesla key to cover it." I leaned against my kitchen counter, the coffee maker hissing. "Not my problem. Get a job." His laugh was bitter. "You're jealous because I live while you slave in a basement. You'll regret this." I fired back. "I'm going to Vegas for a coding conference. First break in 3 years. Enjoy your call center." I hung up, booked the trip, and tried to focus on the ransomware patch. But my firm's board piled on more pressure. They demanded I present a new security protocol to investors by week's end. My promotion and my future at Nexus Tech hanging in the balance. Liam didn't stop. He showed up at my office at noon, banging on the glass doors, his face red with fury. "You betrayed me, Ethan? You think you can just cut me off?" My coworkers stared, their whispers like static in my ears. My boss, a hard-nosed ex-Marine named Carter, pulled me aside. "Handle your personal drama, Caldwell, or you're out. I don't care how good you are." I nodded, my stomach churning, and blocked another 23 numbers Liam used to bombard me with tech. His friends flooded my LinkedIn with pleas. "Talk to Liam, man. He's in deep." I ignored them, but the pressure was suffocating. Then came the gut punch. A rival firm, CyberPeak, started spreading rumors I'd leaked client data. A lie that could torch my reputation in an industry where trust was everything. I spent hours drafting statements to clients, my hands shaking as I fought to clear my name. The real blow came from Sophia, Liam's wife, her voice trembling over the phone. "Did you really cut Ava's tuition?" I explained I'd only redirected payments to her directly, bypassing Liam. There was a long pause, then a bitter laugh. "He told me you abandoned her completely." That was the crack that split Liam's facade wide open. Sophia had caught him editing bank statements the night of the gala, panicking about the bill. She'd hired a forensic accountant, and what she found was a financial crime scene. Liam had been running a Ponzi scheme, conning her cousins, uncles, and her parents into fake crypto investments. My $150,000 0-cents had been the seed money, used to pay early returns, while he blew the rest on Teslas, strip clubs, and fake Rolexes. Sophia had filed for divorce, reported him to the FBI, and hired a lawyer who specialized in financial fraud. Liam's empire was crumbling, his Tesla repossessed, his loft under eviction, his friends suing for $300,000, 0 cents in losses. But the danger was far from over. That night, as I worked late on the ransomware patch, 2 thugs showed up at my condo, their silhouettes dark against the rain-soaked street. "You owe Mr. Volkov $100,000, 0 cents, one growled, his accent thick, his fist pounding my door. Volkov was a crypto mogul, one of Liam's investors with ties to the Russian underworld. My heart hammered as I barricaded the door, my phone already dialing 911. "Pay up, or you're dead!" the other shouted, kicking the frame. The cops arrived in minutes, but the thugs vanished into the night, leaving me with a chilling certainty. Liam's schemes had pulled me into a world far darker than I'd imagined. The next morning, the FBI showed up at my office, their badges glinting under the fluorescent lights. "Mr. Caldwell, we need to talk about your brother's accounts," the lead agent said, her eyes cold. My name was on some of Liam's shell companies, accounts I'd co-signed years ago, thinking I was helping with emergencies. They suspected I was an accomplice, my security clearance and career teetering on the edge. I spent 6 hours in a conference room, handing over bank records, emails, anything to prove I was a victim, not a co-conspirator. My chest was tight, my mind racing. Had Liam set me up? Were my parents in on it? The questions gnawed at me, each one a loose thread in a tapestry of lies. At 2 a.m., I was coding in my condo, the ransomware patch nearly complete, when my door rattled with frantic pounding. I grabbed a baseball bat, my pulse spiking, and checked the Ring camera. It was Liam, disheveled, his once pristine suit wrinkled, his eyes wild with desperation. "You ruined my life, Ethan," he screamed, lunging at me when I cracked the door. I dodged his punch, my CrossFit training giving me the edge over his years of takeout and laziness. He stumbled, crashing into my neighbor's yard, still yelling, "You're dead, Ethan, you hear me?" The Ring camera caught every second, his threats echoing through the quiet street. My neighbor, Mrs. Chen, poked her head out, phone in hand. "I'm calling the cops," she said, her voice steady. Liam turned on her, screaming insults. But I nodded to her and stepped back inside, locking the door. The police arrived in minutes, tasing Liam mid-rant for assault, disturbing the peace and resisting arrest. He was booked overnight, his screams fading as they dragged him away. Mom called at dawn, her voice a mix of sobs and accusations. "You're tearing us apart, Ethan. How could you do this to your brother?" Dad got on, his tone cold as steel. "Drop the charges, for your mother's sake." I laughed, the sound raw in my throat. "Liam's got a record because he tried to kill me. I'm done with all of you." I hung up, filed a restraining order, and blocked their numbers. They showed up at my office later. Mom's tear-streaked face and Dad's red-faced anger a familiar performance. My boss, Carter, took one look and told them to leave or face security. Back at my condo, they left a letter about family healing and moving forward together. I tore it to shreds, the pieces scattering like the lies they'd built our family on. The pressure didn't let up. CyberPeak's rumors spread, clients whispering about my involvement in Liam's fraud. I spent every spare moment rebuilding trust, drafting emails and meeting with investors, all while racing to finish the ransomware patch. The biotech client's deadline loomed, and failure wasn't an option. Then Sophia called again, her voice urgent. Liam showed up at my parents' house, demanding to see Ava. He violated the restraining order. The cops had arrested him again, and he was now facing real jail time. But her next words froze me. The accountant found offshore accounts tied to Russian IPs. "Ethan, I think Liam's scheme is bigger than we thought." My mind raced. Were the Russian hackers targeting my firm connected to Liam? Had my parents known about his fraud all along, enabling it with their silence? What else was Sophia uncovering in his records? Would Volkov's goons come for my startup next? And could Ava, the one bright spot in this mess, trust me through the fallout? I pushed through, the ransomware patch going live just before dawn. The biotech client's data was safe, their lawsuit threat withdrawn, but the victory felt hollow. The FBI cleared me as a suspect, but my clearance was still under review, my career hanging by a thread. I sat in my condo, the rain now a soft patter, and opened my laptop to check my bank account. For the first time in years, the numbers were climbing, not draining into Liam's black hole. I'd launched my AI security startup, hired 3 engineers, and secured a small office in downtown Seattle. The future was mine, not Liam's. The next weekend, I drove to Sophia's parents' house, a modest craftsman in Tacoma. Ava ran out, her eyes bright, clutching the drone I'd built. "Uncle Ethan, can we code it to do loops?" she asked, her smile cutting through the chaos. We spent the afternoon in their backyard, tweaking code, her laughter a reminder of what mattered. Sophia watched from the porch, her expression soft but guarded. "Ava talks about you all the time," she said. "No money, just time, that's what she needs." I nodded, my throat tight. This was family, not the one I was born into, but the one I chose. Liam's world was ashes. He was working a call center job, living in a rundown studio, still spinning tales of being a tech visionary betrayed by family. But I felt no guilt, only peace. I hadn't ruined his life. I'd stopped building his house of cards. The questions lingered, though, like bugs in my code. Were the Russian hackers part of Liam's scheme? Did my parents know more than they admitted? What secrets were still buried in his accounts? Would Volkov's wrath target my startup? And could Ava's trust in me survive the storm that was surely coming? I didn't have the ascendancy answers, but I had my own. A new life, a new fight, and a chance to write my own code.